When 30-year-old teacher Lorraine discovered she was pregnant, she felt a joy like never before. Becoming a mother had always been her dream, and now that dream was finally coming true. However, during a routine scan, doctors uncovered something so extraordinary that it left them stunned, something they had never encountered before. Lorraine had always been deeply committed to her career as a teacher. Growing up in a working-class family in northern England, she had developed a strong work ethic that set her apart. While the news of her pregnancy filled her with excitement, it didn't slow her down. There was still so much she wanted to accomplish before her baby arrived. Lorraine was a cautious first-time mother and attended several early scans where doctors checked the health of the baby, who was still in the very early stages of growth. Everything seemed fine and in order, and they told Lorraine there was nothing to be concerned about. She had no clue what a shocking, injuriously unlikely thing was going on inside her body at that very moment. But still, being the workaholic that she was, Lorraine continued to work throughout her pregnancy. So committed to her job of educating young children was she that she even started to let things slip and began to miss several key scans. Now, it's always crucial to attend all of your scans when pregnant. Not only do they allow you to see some key milestones and form a kind of bond with the baby before it's even born, but they also allow medical professionals to check on the progress of your baby and, more importantly, determine if there's anything to be concerned about. I thought it'd be fine, Lorraine remembered. I'd read all the pregnancy books. I was growing at a normal rate. I had aches and pains, but all pregnant women do, so I thought I might as well just keep busy with my work. This could have turned out to be one of the most dangerous and life-threatening decisions she could have ever made. But was it too late for Lorraine and her unborn baby? It remained to be seen. It wasn't until Lorraine's line manager and the school head teacher basically forced her out the door that she even considered taking time off for maternity leave. At 39 weeks pregnant, she couldn't focus properly on educating children, and management staff thought it was best to allow her to take time off and focus on herself and the baby. Contrary to what they thought, though, Lorraine still felt fit and healthy enough to work and always believed that she would end up working right up to her due date. Still, she had her orders and was forced to go home. As she had a little more time on her hands, Lorraine started to think. Questions started popping into her head. Should she have gone to those scans? Was everything okay? Was her baby safe and all right? These were all questions she should have been asking herself months ago, but hindsight is 20/20ths, and it was too late to go back and change anything now. She just crossed her fingers that everything was going according to plan and that both she and her baby were good. As she hit the 41-week mark of her pregnancy, Lorraine finally found the time to go for a scan. After all, she couldn't keep living life at 1,000 miles per hour. She needed to take her foot off the pedal, slow down, and start to relax and unwind for the sake of her unborn baby. Besides, better late than never, right? Lorraine had read that less than 8% of pregnancies go wrong or have any complications, so surely the odds were in her favor. Surely there was nothing that could go wrong, could it? Entering the scanning room, she climbed on the table, lifted her top to reveal her bulging stomach, and the doctor got to work scanning. But as he was doing so, his eyes went wide and his complexion turned pale. Lorraine asked what was the matter, but the doctor made a quiet, feeble excuse and quickly left the room, returning several moments later with a couple of his colleagues. Once again scanning Lorraine's belly, the doctors murmured and looked on in shock, some excited, others concerned. This started to fill Lorraine with a sense of dread and panic. They weren't telling her anything. They weren't giving her any information. What had they actually seen? Was her baby all right? Was she all right? Finally, the original doctor told her to clean herself up and visit him in his office. He clearly had some big, shocking news for her. A lot of pregnancies go really smoothly, and there are no issues along the way, one midwife explained. But there are inherent risks to having a child, and it's never completely a walk in the park. It's a definite trauma for the body. But what Lorraine was experiencing was something that has very rarely been seen before, if ever. Lorraine quickly dried herself off and straightened her clothes before rushing to the doctor's office. Her body was shaking, and her mind was racing at the possibilities. Was the baby okay? Or was these one of the 8% of pregnancies that go wrong? Sitting in front of the doctor, he started to speak, telling her that the baby seemed to be developing correctly, but it wasn't where it was supposed to be. Lorraine's heart was beating 1,000,000 miles per hour, and her stomach dropped. Babies usually grow in their mother's uterus. This is where they can get all the vital blood and nutrients they need to stay strong and healthy. It is all part of the growing and developing process. However, Lorraine's baby was growing not in her uterus, but in her abdomen. How it ended up there was anyone's guess, and not something they needed to be concerned with at that moment. You see, they had more pressing and potentially life-threatening matters to deal with. As the baby was developing outside the uterus, doctors were unsure if it had received the correct amounts of nutrients and blood to help it develop in a healthy way. They recommended that a C-section be carried out as soon as possible. After all, the baby was a healthy size and was seemingly strong enough to battle any complications that might arise, so they rolled the dice, took a chance, and rushed Lorraine down to the operating theater to deliver her baby. But would the poor child make it? There was only one way to find out. It was a tense time, with doctors not entirely sure what they'd see when they opened Lorraine by cesarean section. They made a plan and were especially careful in making the surgical incision in Lorraine's abdomen. There was a chance that the baby was underdeveloped, either physically or mentally. There was also a chance that in growing in Lorraine's abdomen, Lorraine could have suffered fatal injuries, and removing the baby could spell disaster for her. But what was revealed when they opened her up was an absolute miracle. A fully formed, healthy baby girl. How she had grown so perfectly and without any disabilities or complications was completely beyond the doctors at the time. And what's more, Lorraine was unharmed by the baby growing in her abdomen. I couldn't believe my eyes, and I know my colleagues felt the same, said one doctor who was present at the birth. You don't see babies forming outside the uterus. It's not the natural place for them to develop and grow, and a lot can go wrong. So to see this little girl not only alive, but thriving was just mind-boggling. And the fact that the mother was also in great shape made this a 1,000,000-to-1 event. With both the mother and baby in good health, they spent only one night in the hospital before being discharged and sent home. The baby, who, by the way, had now been named Ronica, was a good weight, fully developed, and otherwise completely and miraculously ordinary. It was truly a miracle. Lorraine emerged from the experience without any side effects, despite the baby growing in her abdomen. Reflecting on the intense birth, Lorraine said, "It was a wild ride, but the doctors did what they had to do, and I have no regrets. Now I have my beautiful little girl, and I wouldn't change this quirky little madam for anything in the world." So there you have it, a woman whose baby grew in her abdomen instead of her uterus. How would you react if you were in Lorraine's shoes? Have you ever heard of something this extraordinary happening before? I'm really keen to know your thoughts on this story, so please don't hesitate to share your insights in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and found it engaging, I invite you to subscribe to our channel for more similar content. Feel free to share this video. Take good care of yourselves, and I'm excited to connect with you in our future videos.